ABC Women would like to thank BIPOC Executive Search for sponsoring today's episode.
The BIPOC Executive Search app is here for you. Get information about job opportunities we're recruiting for. Keep up to date and in the know about career news tailored to Indigenous, Black, and other racialized audiences. Gain helpful tips and learnings to help you on your career trajectory, celebrate job appointments, and more. The BIPOC Executive Search app, here to elevate the candidate experience for Black, Indigenous, and communities of color. Free to download and available on iPhone and Android smartphones.
Look how far you have come on your own, but never alone. Through the rain and through the shine, here's your moment, it's your time. You stood tall and now you see, standing in your destiny. 100 woman, growing strong. 100 woman, where you belong. You stood tall and now you see, you have reached your destiny, woman.
100 ABC Women would like to take this opportunity to welcome our viewers and listening audience, families, friends, and our sponsors to our inspirational conversations, fireside chats with 100 ABC honorees. 100 Accomplished Black Canadian Women is a bold initiative created by the co-authors, the Honorable Dr. Jean Augustine, a former MP, Donna Jones-Simmons, a corporate diversity executive, and Dr. Denise O'Neill Green, Vice President, Equity and Community Inclusion at Ryerson University. Our mission is to celebrate and archive the professional accomplishments of trailblazing Black women from all across Canada. The goal is to create an ever-expanding database available for current and future generations via print media, public and private libraries, as well as a website, which is www.100abcwomen.ca. We are pleased to bring you a series of fireside chats, which include conversations around education, healthcare, entertainment, creative arts, legal, technology, entrepreneurship, diversity and equity, media, engineering, politics, sports, and so much more. These, we know, are topics that matter to us and to you. These educational and inspirational conversations will be made available to all current and future generations via our 100 ABC YouTube channel. This is a great way to learn from our elders, brilliant-minded and accomplished Black Canadian women.
So join me as I welcome our moderator for today's session. Patricia Kumbakisaka was born in Bucharest, Romania, grew up in Athens, Greece, and immigrated to Winnipeg, Canada at the age of 10. Her parents are originally from the Democratic Republic of Congo, and they were working in the diplomatic field. Patricia is also fluent in French, English, Greek, Swahili, and Romanian. She was also named 2021 Woman of Influence and one of the 100 accomplished Black Canadian women for 2020. Patricia is a foreign policy researcher and strategic communications and partnership coordinator in the International Cooperation Department at the International Association of Political Science in collaboration with UNAC Ottawa. Patricia will introduce our panelists for the session for this session, Minding My Political Business. Patricia?
Thank you very much for the lovely introduction. Merci beaucoup pour cette belle introduction. Bon après-midi à tous. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Politics and Government Fireside session. My name is Patricia, and I am very thrilled to be the moderator of this session. So now I'll be very happy to introduce you the two amazing panelists that we have today. So the first one is Akosua Bonsu. At 27 years old, Akosua is already well accomplished, a policy and program analyst with the Government of Manitoba. Her interest in political economy was sparked when she was selected to represent Canada on an international trade mission to Southeast Asia. And she was the only Black person of the 30 people picked, which is amazing. Akosua has been recognized as a YWCA Young Woman of Distinction, University of Manitoba Emerging Leader, CBC Manitoba Future 40 Under 40, and one of the 100 accomplished Black Canadian women for 2020. She remains unstoppable in increasing representation of Black people in political and economic spheres. And I'll introduce our second amazing panelist for today, Ms. Adaoma Patterson. She is the current president of the Jamaican Canadian Association and manager, poverty reduction and community engagement in the Human Services Department at the region of Peel. Adaoma is also instrumental in the efforts to gain regulatory approval for the Pan-African Credit Union initiative in Ontario. So I'm very happy to have you both here, and I can't wait to hear about your amazing experiences that you get to share with all of us. So right now, I'm just gonna ask each one of you a question, and then we look forward to hear all about you. So I will start off with you, Akosua. So you have been on 2 international trade and development missions to Southeast Asia, which is outstandingly amazing. On the mission, some of the work you were involved, it was developing business models. So could you tell us a little bit, how can youth who have been on missions such as these create opportunities from the trade mission experience?
Certainly. First of all, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to share my experiences with you and to talk a little bit about what I have done on these trade missions. To begin, the missions were hosted by a national organization called Global Vision. And what they do is they host these international trade missions as well as regional roundtables and missions up to Northern Canada to give youth the experiences in governance, diplomacy, and international relations. So how it works is youth were selected by application. Once selected, you made connections within your city and your province to gain sponsorship to attend these missions. So from there, that is an opportunity, for example, that can be created between the youth and the sponsoring organizations. As I mentioned, because you have to go to them and you work out how much they're able to sponsor you for, and then what you will carry out on the mission, you're able to create those connections, both personally and professionally. So in terms of professional endeavors, as mentioned, I currently work as a Policy and Program Analyst with the Government of Manitoba. And the skills that I learned, the networking skills, being able to make connections, the interpersonal skills that I learned on the mission are very transferable to my work. Some of it involves liaising with other people across government that I might not have met before, or having to make cold calls to get information. So those skills learned on the missions are easily transferable to many types of work.
Thank you, Akosua. That must have been quite the experience. And I'm sure, you have tons of youth that also look up to you and probably, want to do the same thing in the future as well. So we'll come back to you for another question. So let's go to Adaoma. So Adaoma, you were a member of parliament candidate in 2015 federal election, and now you are working in the municipal government. So could you tell us, how does the municipal government engage local residents in initiatives?
Thanks for that question. And it's a pleasure to be here. Just a quick shout out to Manitoba and Winnipeg, because I grew up in Winnipeg. So that's what we have in common, Akosua. So, municipal government is often overlooked, I think, by citizens and residents. I think we often take it for granted, but it's really the closest level to people, and often, therefore the most responsive. And so things like your garbage pickup, recycling, all the way to public health and social services. So affordable housing, affordable childcare, all of those things are managed at the municipal level. And so we often are really that sort of frontline response. If something is happening in a neighborhood, for example, an escalation of violence, or, just other challenges in a specific neighborhood or community, it's really the municipal government that responds. And so it's actually a really key stakeholder. And when you look at things like the voter turnout for a municipal election, it's often the lowest. And your property taxes is what contributes to the services that we deliver. So I think it's an essential level of government, and it also allows for a certain level of engagement that can't happen at the provincial or federal level. And so I'm always pleased to be able to talk about, why municipal government is important, because really, when it comes to frontline, and we've seen that through COVID, that it is municipal and your councillors and your mayors that really make decisions that impact your life day to day.
Great, that's really good to hear about your experience, and thank you very much for sharing that. So back to you, Akosua. Could you tell us, as a young person, in international trade, what are the benefits of participating in international trade and development missions?
Certainly. So I've mentioned a few of them already: the opportunity to gain those networking skills, interpersonal skills, having those skills transfer over to any professional endeavors that the youth might be interested in. In addition, the hands-on experience is critical. Such experiences like these international training development missions can be hard to come by, especially for marginalized youth. So having that chance to, again, not only partner with organizations within your community, within your city, within your province, but being able to represent them overseas and being able to make connections on their behalf overseas, that is not something that a lot of youth get the chance to experience. So having those skills, learning those lessons, making connections not only here, but when you're overseas as well. For example, our first mission the first mission I went on in 2013 took us to China, Hong Kong, Singapore, and Malaysia. And in each of those cities, we got the chance to meet with groups that were similar to ours, similar to Global Vision. So whether they were youth groups or entrepreneurial groups, we got the chance to make connections with them. And a lot of the youth that were on the missions, as well as myself, still maintain some of those connections, and some have even led to job opportunities. So it can really open a lot of doors to be able to participate in something like this, whether overseas or here at home, as well as, again, giving youth that inside look as to how some of our federal and international decisions or partnerships are made, because we go and we do that on a bit of a smaller scale while we're there. So as you mentioned, Patricia, I've been on 2 of these missions. In 2013, I was a participant, and in 2017, I helped lead a mission to China and Hong Kong. And again, being able then to switch my role a little bit and help lead the youth and help direct them a little bit more and give them a bit more insight as to why we're doing what we're doing and what they're able to gain from it, and really open their eyes to the value of being able to participate in such a program was also amazing. And so there's a lot of benefits You get to visit other countries as well, and you get to experience other cultures. You get to meet other people, work with youth from across the country. The list of benefits is endless. Unfortunately, now due to COVID-19, the international programs have been halted, of course, but hopefully once the pandemic dies down a little bit, we can resume those.
Wonderful. I'm sure that brought a lot of opportunities for you and opened up so many doors. So that's really amazing. I'm glad you got to experience that. That's wonderful. So back to you again, Adaoma. So I have one question that's kind of split in two. So the first one is, what types of community-specific programs are available at the municipal level? And the second question is, during this pandemic, has the municipal government shifted the way it provides services to the community?
So the short answer to the second question is yes. So the specific programs that and initiatives that municipalities provide are wide ranging. So public health, for example, provides vaccines. They go into schools year round prior to COVID and make sure children are vaccinated. They offer affordable dental programs for low-income children to make sure, right, that they're promoting and making sure that children maintain good oral health. And then my particular department, which is often known as social services, a lot of the work we do is around supporting residents in neighborhoods, working with local community and nonprofit agencies who are providing direct services in those communities. So we work to strengthen. We work with food banks, for example, to make sure that people who need access and who are experiencing low income have access. We also are responsible for things like the shelters and the shelter system. So when people are homeless, experiencing homeless or underhoused, there are programs and services for them to be able to temporarily find shelter while we work on a longer term plan. Municipalities, particularly in Ontario, are also responsible for managing the affordable housing system. So when you think about affordable housing, we know that rents are often, exorbitant, especially in large cities like Toronto. And there is a wait list for affordable housing. So municipalities are responsible for managing, helping people find affordable housing, managing a wait list. And so it is so diverse and varied. And again, often people just, kind of overlook, but those are really the core services that support people, particularly those who are most vulnerable, and making sure that they are connected. So those are just some of the examples. And then secondly, the pandemic absolutely, I think, has magnified the importance of municipalities. I think that's a big one. And yes, we've had to do things differently. And so many municipalities, including the one that I work for, the regional government, we had to immediately come together with all of our social service partners, organizations in the community who are providing service. We had to look at where the gaps are. And so during COVID, especially that first year, it was really all about food insecurity. People needing access to food, not being able to get to a food bank. And so how did we come together? We helped to fund the nonprofit sector so that they can provide the services. We had to help them, make sure that they could switch to a virtual environment, and that the outreach to their clients continued during that time, whether it was mental health counseling or food, or even after school activities for children. So we pivoted in that, and we changed in that the kind of work and the nature of the work that we did changed. We did a lot more than we would normally do in terms of direct service delivery. But our main role was to enable our partners, our community partners, to do what they had to do very, very quickly.
Wonderful, wonderful. Sounds like you've done a lot of amazing work, and it's very good to hear that. And thank you very much for sharing that. And thank you, both of you, for sharing your, your outstanding stories and experiences with all of us. It's very nice to see powerful, successful Black women, making such a difference in our country, in our nation. So that makes me very happy to have you both here. So now that I've put you both on the hot seat, with all these questions, it's now your turn to ask me your questions. So you each get one question that you can ask me, and I'll be more than glad to answer. So we could start with Akosua.
Certainly, and just before we get to that point, to echo a theme that Adaoma has raised, municipalities truly are the backbone of our COVID-19 response and recovery. Within my work with the Department of Municipal Relations, actually, we do a lot of work with municipalities, and they really don't always get that spotlight that they deserve, and the pandemic has really highlighted that. So I just wanted to echo those thoughts, Adaoma, and again, bring some more attention to the good work that you guys do at the municipal level.
Mm-hmm.
So on to you, Patricia. In 2018, you represented Canada at the United Nations General Assembly as a delegate, and in Romania at the Human Rights Council. And in the last federal election, you were asked to run, but at the time you were still committed academically and could not represent your community. Various political parties have a women's division. From your experience, how can we create guidance for potential political candidates in political parties that advance our community's needs?
Well, thank you for this amazing question, Akosua. There are various ways that we can create guidance for potential political candidates because representation is really what matters, and it's very important to showcase that within the political world. We already see that all Canadian political parties, even on the municipal part as well, we have women of color that have run for office, have taken seat, or even put their names as candidates. And those women there who are now in power, or those who were previously in office, have demonstrated such a great example for us. And it is also up to us if we want to run for politics. It's something that we have to encourage ourselves. And those who are already in power, they can be kind of like a role model to us as well. So it's very important, I would say, to get engaged in the political world. There's opportunities where you can volunteer, and you can tag along with a former MP, or somebody who's running for city councilor, or somebody who did run, just be connected with them. They can be your best source within that world as well.
That's great. Thanks so much. So Patricia, tell us, what are the best sources for a young person that wants to be engaged in politics to look to?
This is a really good question. I like this question a lot because it kind of relates how I got interested in politics. So I was 14 when I got affiliated with a particular political party. So I just joined in, I went door knocking, kind of learned how it's like to volunteer on a campaign, etc. So the best source is, find opportunities where you can volunteer within a political party, provincial, federal, or even municipal, if you're not sure what party you align with. Help out, with your member of parliament, join youth organizations that are active within the political party that's involved. So again, that's the beauty thing that we have here in Canada, is the chance to volunteer and the opportunity to do that. So really, I would say the best source is get your foot there as a volunteer, learn, have somebody who's there teaching you more about politics, how it works, ask questions. Now there's big stuff on social media, so you can read about politics, and there are so many. What makes me happy is that there are so many younger people now that share and show more interest in politics. Like this last election, that was one of the highest votes that we had. within the federal politics, for example. So again, volunteer, read books about it, find a mentor, find somebody who was, either in office or is going to run for office that can be there to help you and assist you and guide you into that path.
That's great. Can I just, I really want to underscore the first part of your response in terms of, how young you were when you got involved and understood the process, to elections. Often people just see the candidate and they have no idea how people become a candidate. They don't understand riding associations, and, the process. And that's really where a lot of the power is. So kudos to you. And thanks for highlighting that. I think it's so key, especially in our community.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was a great experience. And also, I'd like to thank everybody here today. This was a very engaging session. I could go all day, we could go all day, talk about this. But once again, thank you everyone for being here. And a big thank you again to our special guests, Akosua Bonsu and Adaoma Patterson. It was such an honor and excitement to have you both here. And big thank you to the 100 ABC founders and just the entire team for planning these sessions. So thank you everyone. Merci beaucoup d'avoir été venu dans notre session de politique et gouvernement. And thank you again for coming to our session for politics and government. Thank you.
Look how far you have come on your own, but never alone. Through the rain and through the shine, here's your moment, it's your time. You stood tall and now you see, standing in your destiny. One